Every single year we expect each new model to be better than the previous one, or at least not worse. For example, iPhone 17 is definitely better than iPhone 16, and the same as Galaxy A56 is slightly better than Galaxy A55. But nothing phone, it's a different story. Ultrawide, main camera, zoom, front-facing camera, what a difference! And yes, that's not a mistake, the new model is on the right side. But wait, where's a brand new 4A, which was released a month ago? Well, I would like to buy it for comparison, but the launch price is a bit steep. What's more interesting, some specs are even worse than the 2A+, which was released back in 2024. We will talk about it a little bit later, but now let's compare the previous models that offer way better value for money. If we skip personal preferences, such as design and color, the previous model is more comfortable to use. It's a bit narrower, shorter and lighter, and in summary you can feel the difference. But then your fingers will notice that weird back panel. The official website says it's plastic, but it feels more like a cheap silicone case. I hope it doesn't turn yellow after a couple of years. The next generation came with glass back panel. Maybe this is one of the reasons why 3A feels heavier. Overall, this phone feels more solid and well built. But whether it's glass or plastic, they all attract fingerprints like crazy. It's time to think about selling branded cleaning products, Carl. What about screen quality? The previous model looks great, it's easy on your eyes and there's nothing to complain about, until you grab the phone 3A and start comparing side by side. And my own impressions are confirmed by Phone Arena. Testing with professional equipment showed that the new model is slightly better across all key metrics. Unfortunately, the screen bezels haven't gotten any smaller. The only difference is in radius of corners. The older model is rounded like an iPhone, while the new model looks more like a Galaxy S series. Apps run quickly on either device, and I really like how Nothing OS looks. It was made with taste and attention to details. Smartphones have already been updated to Android 16, and in future they will be updated to 17 as well. Phone 3A will also receive Android 18 in 2028, while 2A Plus can only hope for security patches. In the new model, Dimensity 7350 has been replaced with a Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. Both chips are made by TSMC using 4 nanometers. When it comes to benchmark, the new model started really well, but 2A Plus soon closed the gap and they finished at the same time. So, are you ready to see the results? Yes, this is truly unexpected, especially since just a few months ago, in a comparison with Honor and Motorola, the Nothing Phone 3A scored over 1 million points. I have no idea, maybe something went wrong after updates. But even if we look at the results from the previous test rather than today's, it's still a minor increase in performance. The haptic feedback equally nice on both models, but speaker sound has really been improved. I can confidently say that the Nothing Phone 3A is one of the best choices for music lovers in this price range. According to specs, the battery capacity is the same. However, in my experience, its battery life has actually become worse. Whatever I tried, watching YouTube or video recording or running benchmarks, after each task the Phone 3A showed 1–2% lower state of charge. Could it be that MediaTek is actually better optimized than Snapdragon? Fresh update: the Nothing Phone 4A just had a big breakthrough. The battery capacity increased by a massive 1.5%. And what about charging speed? Still at 50 watts, unchanged since 2024. Now let's move on to the cameras. This is where all surprises begin. The only lens that stayed the same is the main 50 megapixel camera, but that doesn't mean that the results are identical. Switching from MediaTek to Snapdragon makes a difference, the image processing feels different. Overall, photos look better on a fresh model. White balance is more accurate without yellow tint. Some pictures also show better detail. Images became deeper, with stronger contrast and more interesting balance of light and shadow. Meanwhile, the Phone 2a sometimes goes too heavy on HDR, photos are too flat from my taste. But in daylight and backlight, such algorithms can actually do a great job. On the right, we got a dramatic shot with a dark tree shadow. On the left, we see bright winter photo, exactly the vibe I wanted. With neon lights, the Phone 2a also does well. But the sky… that's where it gets weird. Purple patches, crazy saturation, especially on the ultrawide camera. The Phone 3a also twisted reality a little bit. In real life, these clouds were softer, not so texturated. We will get back to the ultrawide camera later, but now let's talk about videos. Do you see any improvement in stabilization? Personally, I don't. But I see too much blue tint, weak dynamic range, blown out streetlights, and footage feels choppy. I checked the metadata, and yes, the Phone 3a drops frame rate to 25 fps, while the previous model kept a steady 30. And if at least it gave more detail, that would be fine, but no, even text is more readable on the left side. So we get jittery video, blown out streetlights, and no benefits in detail. And even where there's enough light and the frame rate goes back to 30 fps, the Nothing Phone 2a still shows better dynamic range. The only advantage of the new model is less crop in video mode. You can fit more into the frame without switching to the ultrawide lens. By the way, are there any reasons switching to the ultrawide camera when it seems like a downgrade? The answer is yes. Modern algorithms can still pull a lot from just 8 megapixels. In terms of detail, the Phone 2a is better, no surprise there, and it also has slightly wider field of view. The new model sometimes struggles with white balance, and at night I notice a strange vignetting in the sky. It looks dramatic, but not always in a good way. Anyway, as for colors, just like in the main camera, I often preferred photos on the right. When it comes to video, there is no suspense. The older model easily beats the new one. Honestly, I expected this, because last autumn right here, the Nothing Phone 2a didn't even give the iPhone a chance. That's why in comparison with Phone 3a, whose ultrawide camera doesn't even support 4K, the winner is clear from the beginning. To be fair, many budget phones in this price range use 8 megapixel ultrawide cameras. For example, put the Redmi 15 Pro Plus, OnePlus Nord 5, Galaxy A37 or even the brand new Phone 4a and 4a Pro. Detail will look so similar. So I am not here to say what a shame, what an embarrassing downgrade. Let's look at it from another angle. In 2024, they broke the rules by putting an almost flagship sensor into a budget device. Even if you compare the ultrawide camera of the Phone 2a with the main camera of Phone 3a, you won't see a big gap in quality. This isn't just a backup lens, it's a real working tool. The selfie camera is another downgrade, from 50 megapixels down to 32, and no more 4K video recording. Honestly, if you look at a serious product line from the beginning, don't try to find any logic in specs. Just imagine, you are a girl, you spent more than $500 on a new nothing phone for a Pro in this amazing pink color, and then you realize the front-facing camera can record only in 1080p. But in photos, you won't notice much of a downgrade. There's no big gap in detail like it was with the Ultrawide comparison. Video definitely looks softer. During a nighttime, phone 3A can't keep up. And now let's check the sound quality. 1, 2, 3. Quick sound quality test. Nothing for 2A plus and nothing for 3A. It's windy outside and pretty cold. Slow motion is only available in 1080p at 120 fps and only using the main camera. There are some small differences in color, but in detail there are no differences at all, even if you crop the footage. So the new model feels like a downgrade. Weaker front-facing camera, weaker ultrawide, and even the main lens have some troubles. But wait, there's a plus. They added one more camera with 2x optical zoom.
Oh my god! Wow!
This winter I tested it against phones with 3x optical zoom, and in daylight the Nothing Phone 3A kept up easily. Compared to the previous model, which had no telephoto at all, the difference is huge, especially in long-range zoom. In video, the gap is also massive. And don't tell me that zoom doesn't matter, that all people take photos just using main camera. Telephoto lens can be really useful, it's fun to have a pocket-sized binocular. And if you care about portraits, native zoom always looks better than digital crop. But after sunset, forget about calling it a pocket binoculars. The lack of optical stabilization really shows. Digital stabilization is there, but the more you zoom, the more jelly-like video becomes. In photos, it's a fight between blurry shot on the right and low detail on the left. I swear, I held the phones as steady as possible in freezing temperatures and strong wind, but out of 10 night shots, only one came out sharp. The phone 3A sets shutter speed like 115, 110, even 17 per second. Any photographer will tell you, using such settings without optical stabilization, getting a clear handheld shot is unreal. You only need a tripod. When there is more light, for example from street lamps or shop windows, Nothing Phone cuts the shutter speed and detail on the right gets better, but it still makes no sense. Obviously, 99% of Nothing Phone users will shoot handheld, not with any tripod. So why not to set a software limit, like no slower than 1/30 of a second, even at night? Yes, noise would be more visible, maybe slightly under exposure, but at least I wouldn't get 9 blurry pictures out of 10. If someone really needs longer shutter speed, welcome to manual mode. By the way, did you notice that yellowish tint in some photos? Funny thing, while I was working on the script, the phone 3A received a huge update. It claims to fix white balance at 4x zoom and above. It's great that a year after release they are still pushing updates to improve photo quality. But there's a reasonable question. Why did it take a whole year? Did they try to do a real-world camera test before release, or lab tests only? This week I kept asking myself, why am I so hooked on nothing? It's hard to explain, but let me try. Back in childhood, we all craved individuality. Buying the same backpack or sneakers as your classmate wasn't shameful, but it felt wrong. If someone had Siemens C55, then on your birthday you dreamed about M-series or thinking about Nokia or even Sony Ericsson. And it's strange how we went from desire to stand out to a world where most people now want to be the same. Same as bloggers, same as so-called successful crowd. Why should I waste my time choosing a phone, watching reviews, when everybody knows there's nothing better than the iPhone? Does it make sense to experiment with design if companies can just slap 3 fake camera circles in the left corner? And hey, let's add a trendy orange color and stick Pro Max in the name. Everybody wants a Pro Max nowadays, right? So even the budget A series take you back to a time when individuality mattered. And surprisingly, the Nothing phone's individuality isn't just a flashy wrapping to hide poor quality. It proves that a great product can be created against the mainstream.